Hey students, welcome back from Martin Luther King Day. We are doing a proportions review today, and it's all about story problems. So a lot of this lesson, I'm going to do a few problems to review today, and then we'll be doing a lot of it in class. So hopefully you feel comfortable by the time we take the test on Thursday. So we have another review day tomorrow, but today is all about story problems. So let's get to it. To begin with, we are going to do your bell work. So let's see, there's only 2 questions on here today. So let's take a look at question number 1. A potter can make 6 vases in 3 hours. How long would it take the potter to make 14 vases? And so we are looking at a ratio or a proportion here. So if a potter can make 6 vases in 3 hours, what are the 2 things we are comparing? That's what I always start with. I am comparing vases to hours. And I know that this guy can make 6 vases in 3 hours. And I want to know how long it's going to take. So that's the hours I don't know to make 14. So from here we go 6 times x, 6x. 3 times 14 is 242. And then we're going to divide by 6 on both sides, and I get x equals 7. It's going to take 7 hours to make to make 14 vases. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 says use the survey data to complete the dot graph or a dot plot. So I'm going to just really quickly do this. I want you to pause and see what you get, because I'm going to pause and fill in, and then we'll see what you get, because this is pretty time consuming. All right, so there's the dot plot, and you can see here that we have a peak at 4. So we're looking here at 4. Some of these words, the vocabulary we talked about, our cluster, goes from 1 to 6. It looks like that we have a 12 over here, one of them, so that's an outlier. And if we wanted to know, if you remember, we kind of chart this like this and go, okay, where's the tail? And the tail is over here to the right-hand side. So we would also say that this could be a skewed right. This data is skewed to the right. So a couple of things just to keep your mind refreshed on what we've been talking about in the past. All right, guys, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to do a couple of these to just get you started, and then I'm going to pull everybody together as a class, and we're going to do a lot of this together today. But let's take a look at a couple of these together just so that you can kind of have a reference if you need it. So number 1 says, in August, Sarah's clothing store sold 220 shirts with a ratio of short sleeve to long sleeves being 7 to 3. How many short sleeve shirts were sold? So what are the 2? Again, I'm going to say this. We always start out with what are we comparing. So we are comparing short sleeve to long sleeve. And what do we know about that ratio? We know that there is a 7 to 3. And we are trying to find out how many short sleeves were sold. But this is where it gets a little bit confusing sometimes. This is what? Is it short or long? It's neither, is it? It's a total. So we have to always take into consideration that sometimes it asks for a total. So the total would be 10. So what are we trying to find out in this problem? We are comparing short sleeves to total. So we need to re-look at this. What we're not looking for that. We're looking for a short sleeve to total. So I'm going to be looking at S over T. So I'm going to be looking at 7 over 10. And I know that there are 220 total shirts, and I'm looking for the short sleeve. So again, I'm going to restate that this, you always have to be trying to figure out what is it asking for. And if it has gives you a total, it means just add up both of those numbers and get a total right here. So now we can do this problem. Now you could use a ratio table if you would really like that method. but I'm going to use the proportion method here. So I'm going to go 10 times x, and then 7 times 220. 7 times 220 is 1,540. 1,540. Now I'm going to divide by 10. So divide by 10, and I get 154. So my answer is 154 short sleeve shirts. And I'm just going to call it short shirt. Okay? So, again, we'll see some other examples of that today. The biggest mistake that I see students is that they think, okay, this 220, I'm just going to set it equal to 10 or to 3 or 7, and they make some mistakes there. So let's move on to the next question. Okay, number 2, during the bake sale, Taya sold 4 apple pies to every 3 blueberry pies. If she sold 20 apple pies, how many blueberry pies did she sell? So what are we comparing here? We are comparing apple to blueberry. So I am going to just zoom into this so I have enough room. I'm running into an issue with that here. So apple to blueberry. I'm going to zoom back out again and take a look at my question. We have a ratio of 4 to 3. That's what it gives us. And then what are we comparing? It gives us apple. Okay, so it gives us, we sold 20 apple, and it wants to know how many blueberry there are. So can you see the difference between this problem and number 1? Number 1, it was comparing to a total. This isn't. This is just comparing apple to blueberry. So we can use our ratio. Now, I can see a shortcut here. Since I already have a simplified ratio, I can just go and use this method. How did 4 turn into 20? I times it by 5, so times the 3 by 5, and I get 15. So there are 15 blueberry. All right, I just wanted to do 2 questions on here. We are going to work through the rest of this together as a class. So please, if you have gotten to this point and you feel comfortable and Mr. Roberts isn't, or your teacher is not quite ready to go on and do the activity with you, do the rest of these questions, you can keep on going and see how you do. But be ready for your teacher to pull you together and listen to what your teacher has to say about doing these questions. All right, guys, good luck.